Hey Erik, what is the broader vision behind the Bitnation?
So I would say the broader vision of Bitnation is that people can opt in to voluntary governance services independently from where they happen to be born. Because we know that there's a huge geographic apartheid in the world. Because people who are born in Bangladesh have bad passports, they cannot get access to financial markets and financial systems like we have here in Europe. They might not be able to start their own companies, they might not be able to get the proper health insurance, they might not be able to even make secure agreements because maybe they live in a corrupt administration. Um, so what we offer, or what we want to provide with BitNation in the future, is for people to be able to choose from different codes of law that they can choose from on our Pangea app, and that there can be competing governance D-apps applications that are based on blockchain um, to basically access governance services from anywhere in the world. So, like even if it's digital nomads who travel all over the world, or if you live in a small village somewhere in Ghana, you should be able to properly certify, for example, your land property, or to make a marriage contract as a gay couple in Iran, even though it's completely illegal in the place where you live, because you can have voluntary agreements that are independent from the nation state where you happen to be born. That's the very idea, that you can opt out and experiment with new systems that was never possible before.
On what stage of completion is now the project?
So right now we're preparing for the public sale. We're going to sell a token called PAT, which is the Pangea arbitration token. And for the end of March, we want to have readily available a minimum viable product, which is the Pangea app. Right now, you can see a demo version of this in the Androids in the Google Play Store. And the idea is to show that we are able to deliver a really working and tangible product and service, and that we are not just an empty promise like the rest of the ICOs. So we are right now creating not only the app and the software, but we're also launching meetups and engaging communities all over the world. I personally am the lead ambassador of Bitnation, and I'm overseeing ambassadors in 3 continents at the moment: Latin America, Africa, and Europe. And the idea is really to have a global movement of world citizens who opt out from the system and use this peer-to-peer voluntary governance network. And yeah, I think currently we are on our way. We already had a pre-sale. We earned about $3 million in the pre-sale to fund the development of the app and to be able to provide functioning service in the meantime. And now for the public sale, the aim or the goal is to raise $30 million in through the PET tokens. And so we're looking for investors from everywhere in the world. Like anyone can invest now in the public sale. There's no, let's say, minimum investment. And yeah, we already had many things in the past. We didn't come out of nowhere. We already, in the last 3.5 years, we had, for example, the BitNation Refugee Emergency Response, where we helped refugees with blockchain IDs. For example, stateless refugees who had no passport and no way um, to let's say, identify themselves in front of governments. So with this blockchain ID, they could at least have some form of verification and maybe get the contract for the renting contract or a bank account. But of course, this is more in an intermediary stage, but I think it was an interesting pioneer project. We had a collaboration with Estonia, the e-residency program, the e-citizenship, where we together built the public notary, um, and as well, like we had several iterations of Pangea, and we're now in the third iteration, and now building our own mesh network that works agnostic from blockchains. So yes, I think we're quite advanced now in our now fourth year of existence, and yeah, I think you can hope for much more to come now after the public sale.
What more do you need for people to start using it?
So in general, we need to have a really intuitive chat interface. That's what we're aiming to have. That's just the way you chat on WhatsApp, Viber, Facebook Messenger. That you should be able to use Pangea in the same way. That you do not have to have a complicated platform. That you do not need to understand the economics and the technology behind it. You should not have to study computer science to be able to use an app, right? So ideally, we will have smart contracts that can be launched from chat interface, and that can even be launched through emoticons. So people all over the world could make use of this and initiate smart contract templates to make agreements on Pangea without, having to be able to be programmer or to code or something like this.
Is there a basic income component to it?
Yes, of course. We work with Joe Nygren, who designed the basic income protocol called Resilience. And I think it's a really interesting project because the way he designs it, it's based on Ripple, but it's not for banks but for individuals, where people can make transactions in a transaction web, and every time they make a transaction, they set a voluntary tax, and based on the next person who also makes a transaction, based on how much taxes they pay, you automatically get a dividend, which is basically like a basic income. So you can create a positive pyramid scheme where everyone can get more than they pay into, and the more like the transaction prolongs, the longer it goes. And I think it's an interesting aspect because you have these transactions on the blockchain, so you can prove that you actually paid taxes. You can use this also for reputation purposes. You can have a better reputation based on how much taxes you paid into this transaction web, and it's a sort of crypto tax where you could set up autonomous agents to coordinate these budgets for public purposes like education, health insurance, and many other things. So you could design the things that the government provides today in a way that is independent from governments, and do it in a borderless way worldwide with a peer-to-peer network. And this is something that, of course, is still in the conceptual stage, but we will have these kind of governance D-apps on top of our platform. So we are basically a do-it-yourself governance platform where everyone can build their own applications to solve governance problems through code without having to wait for the system to acknowledge your ideas. So you can just act upon your idea and don't wait for permission, and put agency over voice. Instead of trying to be heard, you can just go ahead and create your own new parallel system.
Great. So, Erik, how do you see your role in developing in the wider project?
Yeah. So, like I said before, I'm the lead ambassador of Bitnation, and I oversee the ambassador network. So, the idea is that apart from having the virtual blockchain, you also should have a human blockchain of people who trust each other and who you can talk to in case you have a problem as a Bitnation citizen. So, on the one side, we have people like me who represent Bitnation through meetups, interviews, public media, but also you will have tech ambassadors who help people, for example, in developing countries to understand how to use the app, to translate it, or to show them when they have technical problems how to solve the problem. But also we will have a diplomatic ambassador network who try to help our Bitnation citizens when they're in jail, for example, to help them get out of jail, or when they have any sort of legal problems to to how to solve these based on a legal database of prior cases. And we try to help our Bitnation citizens also with the existing law system, because there we know that there will be conflicts between our new model and our new apps and the existing paradigm, let's say, because it has some confrontative elements in it. So we will need to help our citizens with legal advice. And yeah, I'm basically coordinating the more representative part, like the goodwill ambassadors who organize meetups. And I'm also helping with translations. I'm making new proposals for collaborations and talk for inquiries, and also from time to time to investors.
Fine. And at last, how can somebody contribute and join the project around the world?
Yeah, I mean, we need to make it as easy as possible for everyone in the world to contribute because this is something very new and maybe not everyone knows about blockchain and how to code and all these things. So we have a GitHub contribution guide. We have a very big like amounts of repositories of open source code on GitHub, and everything we do will be available for the public and can be copied also for other purposes. So this is called forking. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can contribute by, like I said, being an ambassador, doing public representation, organizing meetups, or making new collaborations with us. But you can also have codes as an open source contributor, and but you should be, let's say, somewhat knowledgeable already in, let's say, JavaScript, C++, and this kind of programming languages to be able to learn Solidity and then to help us with the actual things that we're designing. But I hope that through Lisk and other applications we will make it much more easily accessible. That also people with a normal computer science degree can be able to contribute, and that it's not only for people who do like social representations, but that people can also more easily contribute with code. So the idea is really to break the paradigm through computer code. That's the story behind it.
Fine. Thank you very much for being with us, Eric. Thank
Thanks
you.
for you for the interview.